The Epstein Files. Episode 1, A. The 13-Year-Old. Welcome to the Epstein Files, a special investigation into the most powerful men in America and the children they destroyed. This is Episode 1A, The 13-Year-Old. What you're about to hear is not speculation, it's not rumor, it's not conspiracy theory. It is sworn testimony filed in federal court under penalty of perjury, with corroborating witnesses, with specific dates, locations, and details. This is the story of Katie Johnson, a 13-year-old girl, and what Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein did to her in the summer of 1994. On June 20th, 2016, a lawsuit was filed in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, case number 1-16-CV07673. The plaintiff, Katie Johnson. The defendants, Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein. The charges: rape, sexual misconduct with a minor, criminal sexual acts, assault and battery. This was not filed in some obscure local court. This was filed in federal court, one of the most prestigious jurisdictions in the country. Katie Johnson is a pseudonym. Her real identity remains protected because to this day she lives in fear for her life. But her story is real. Her testimony is real. Her pain is real. It began in 1994. Katie was 13 years old. She had just arrived in New York City from California. Alone, vulnerable, looking for work as a model. She was approached at the Port Authority bus terminal by a woman who promised her modeling opportunities, parties with wealthy men, money, a chance at a better life. The woman's name was Tiffany Doe. This is how it always starts. A promise, an opportunity, a way out. Tiffany Doe worked for Jeffrey Epstein from 1991 to 2000. She was a recruiter. Her job was to find young girls, vulnerable girls, girls who had no one to protect them, girls who were desperate, girls who would do anything for a chance, and she brought them to Epstein's parties. Tiffany Doe would later file her own sworn declaration, corroborating every detail of Katie's story. She had nothing to gain from coming forward. She only had everything to lose. The parties were held at a mansion on East 71st Street in Manhattan. It was owned by Leslie Wexner, the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret and The Limited. But Epstein lived there, rent-free, with full access, and he used it for his purposes. This wasn't some seedy motel. This was a multi-million-dollar mansion in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in New York City. At these parties, there were powerful men, businessmen, politicians, celebrities, men whose names you would recognize. And there were girls, young girls, some as young as 12 years old, brought there under false pretenses, trapped, exploited. Donald Trump was a regular at these parties. According to the sworn testimony, Trump was present at 4 separate parties where Katie Johnson was forced to perform sexual acts. 4 times. 4 separate occasions. This was not a one-time mistake. This was a pattern. Trump and Epstein had been friends for years. They socialized together, they partied together, they were photographed together at Mar-a-Lago, at charity events, at exclusive clubs. They shared the same tastes, the same appetites, the same disregard for the law. In 2002, Trump told New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." The younger side. He knew, he admitted it, on the record, in print. According to Tiffany Doe's sworn declaration, both Trump and Epstein were told that Katie Johnson was 13 years old. They knew her age, they were informed, they were aware, and they didn't care. Over the summer of 1994, Katie Johnson was sexually assaulted by Donald Trump on 4 separate occasions. Each encounter was more violent than the last. Each encounter pushed the boundaries further. Forced sexual acts, threats, coercion, physical violence. A 13-year-old girl trapped in a nightmare with no way out, no one to call, no one to save her. The 4th encounter was the worst. According to her sworn testimony, Trump tied her to a bed. He struck her, and then he raped her. When she begged him to stop, he didn't. When she cried, he didn't care. After the assault, Trump threatened her. He told her that if she ever told anyone what happened, she would disappear. Just like Maria. This wasn't an idle threat. This was a promise, a warning, a demonstration of power. Maria was a 12-year-old girl who had been at the parties. Katie had seen her, talked to her. They had bonded over their shared nightmare. And then, one day, Maria was gone. Vanished. No explanation, no goodbye. Trump used Maria's disappearance as a threat. He invoked her name. He made sure Katie understood what would happen if she ever spoke. This level of specific detail is not something you fabricate. This is the kind of detail that haunts you for decades. For 22 years, Katie Johnson stayed silent, living in fear, living in hiding, changing her name, moving constantly. But in 2016, she decided to come forward. She decided that the truth mattered more than her fear. She filed a federal lawsuit against Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She put her name on legal documents. She swore under oath. She risked everything. The lawsuit alleged 4 counts. Count 1, rape of a minor. Count 2, sexual misconduct with a minor. Count 3, criminal sexual acts with a minor. Count 4, assault and battery. Each count carried serious legal consequences. Each count was backed by detailed testimony. Each count was corroborated by a witness. This was not an anonymous internet post. This was not a rumor whispered in the shadows. This was a sworn declaration filed in federal court under penalty of perjury. If Katie Johnson was lying, she could face 5 years in federal prison. She could be prosecuted. She could lose everything. She put her freedom on the line to tell the truth. She risked imprisonment to speak out. And she wasn't alone. Tiffany Doe, the woman who recruited her, also filed a sworn declaration, a separate legal document, filed independently, corroborating every detail of Katie's story. The dates matched, the locations matched, the names matched, the events matched. 2 sworn statements, 2 witnesses, 1 truth. On November 2nd, 2016, just 4 days before the presidential election, Katie Johnson withdrew her lawsuit. She canceled a scheduled press conference where she was going to reveal her identity and speak publicly for the first time, and she disappeared. Again. Her attorney, Lisa Bloom, released a statement. Jane Doe has received numerous threats today, as have all the Trump accusers that I have represented. She is living in fear, and she has decided to withdraw her case. Death threats, intimidation, terror. 4 days before the election. 4 days before Donald Trump would become president of the United States. 31 years later, Katie Johnson is still in hiding. She lives under a pseudonym. She changes her location regularly. She fears for her life every single day because she told the truth. Because she dared to speak out against one of the most powerful men in the world. So why should we believe her? Why should we take this seriously? Let's look at the evidence. Evidence point number 1, the eyewitness. Tiffany Doe worked for Epstein for 9 years. She recruited Katie, she was present at the parties, she witnessed the assaults, and she testified under oath, risking perjury charges herself. She had no financial incentive to lie. She gained nothing from coming forward. She only put herself at risk. Evidence point number 2, the timeline. Trump and Epstein met in 1987. By 1994, they had been friends for 7 years. They were regularly photographed together. They attended the same events. They moved in the same circles. The timeline matches perfectly. The relationship was established. The access was there. Evidence point number 3, the admission. Trump himself admitted in a published interview that Epstein liked women on the younger side. He knew about Epstein's preferences. He acknowledged them publicly. He joked about them. And he participated anyway. Evidence point number 4, the pattern. Katie's story matches the accounts of dozens of other victims. The recruitment at bus terminals and airports, the promises of modeling work, the parties at mansions, the assaults, the threats. This was Epstein's playbook. This was his method. And Trump was part of it. Dozens of women have come forward with similar stories. Dozens of women have described the same pattern, the same tactics, the same men. Evidence point number 5, the specific detail. Maria, a 12-year-old girl who disappeared. This is not the kind of detail you make up. This is not the kind of thing you invent to make your story more believable. This is the kind of detail that haunts you for the rest of your life. The kind of detail that wakes you up at night. The kind of detail that proves you were there. So why hasn't the media covered this story? Why has it been buried? Why has there been no federal investigation, no grand jury, no subpoenas? Why is this case treated like it doesn't exist? Because power protects power. Billionaires play by different rules. They have teams of lawyers, they have unlimited resources, they have connections in every corner of the justice system. They can make lawsuits disappear, they can silence victims, they can bury evidence. A 13-year-old girl from California didn't stand a chance against that kind of power. But the truth matters. Survivors deserve to be heard. Victims deserve justice. No one is above the law. Not billionaires, not celebrities, not even a former president of the United States. In her sworn declaration, Katie Johnson wrote, I'm coming forward now because I want to tell the truth. I want justice, and I want to make sure this never happens to another child. That's all she wanted. The truth. Justice. Protection for other children. And for that, she received death threats. For that, she had to go into hiding. For that, she had to live in fear for the rest of her life. If you or someone you know has been a victim of sexual violence, you are not alone. There are resources available. RAIN 1-800-656-4673. National Child Abuse Hotline 1-800-422-4453. Crisis text line, text home to 741741. You deserve to be heard, you deserve support, you deserve justice. This is the Epstein Files. Episode 1A, The 13-Year-Old. This story needs to be heard. This truth needs to be told. These victims need to be believed. Like, share and ring the bell to be notified of future episodes. Share this with everyone you know. The media won't cover it, so we will. Presented by Word Up Media Network. Unfiltered, unforgiving, unapologetic,